Now, this should be one of those workshops that will be out there by the Marquee Ballroom. And I guarantee in the next couple of years, that's what you're going to see, because I see where Canada has been. I also see where Canada is going. It's very, very exciting for me to be a part of our first international stop, which is Canada. There's no better country for a company like ourselves to expand ourselves in. Now, today, the point of today is to do a couple things. Number one, we all know about the launch that's about to happen, August 28th. We're going to go through a few details today, but I want you guys to write down a couple dates, okay? The first date is July 21st. July 21st, I'll have a webinar that will go in depth with all of you that are here, but also all your coaches that happen to be not here right now, okay? In that webinar, we'll go over all the details that regard the launch, okay? August 28th is the date of the official launch, okay? So those two dates are going to be important dates that I want you guys to communicate with your downline, with your organization, and make sure that they get on both days and make sure that they know what's happening. Now, this workshop is being recorded, and so you're going to have this recording, and that webinar is also going to be recorded for those of you that are going to be asking those questions. So again, like I said, we're going to give you details as to what does the launch mean, because as you guys know, we've been in pre-launch now since about October of 2012, and now we're going to the full launch. I want you guys to understand that there is a huge opportunity in Canada, both for you that are US coaches, but also for you that are Canadian coaches that are here for the very first time. So obviously you guys, you're seeing a few pictures there. You're recognizing a few of your fellow coaches that happen to be here. We've had tremendous events so far in Canada. We're literally 10,000 and above coaches so far, so give yourselves a hand, Canada coaches. Doing a great job. Absolutely breathtaking. You know, I was back there talking to Pete and Miguel, and I've been with Beachbody now for 3 years, and when I came at Beachbody, it was 2011, April 18th of 2011. By the way, the best professional decision I've ever made in my life. I've been blessed beyond measure. I've been blessed to work with incredible coaches, both here in the United States and Canada, but I've been able to grow as an individual as well. And part of that growth is how we continue getting better as a company. We realize, and Carl said it today, that we need to continue getting better. We're a good company, but we're not yet a great company. And part of being a great company is not holding this great secret that we have here at Beachbody in the United States. We're going to go to Canada, and guess what? You will not catch me on stage saying anything else, but let's just say that the US and Canada are going to be a nice platform into future things to come, okay? So like I said, you're here at the right time, at the right place. So we're going through a few numbers. So we started in 2007 through about 2011. That's 4 years. When I came, we were about 50,000 coaches. So it took us 4 years to get to 50,000 coaches. And from 2011 to the end of this year, like you guys saw earlier, 2 days ago earlier, Jeff Hill shared that we're forecasted to end at 200,000 coaches. So in 3 years, we've quadrupled the size of the company. Okay, so what we're going to do, our plan is to take what we have learned in the United States and apply it in Canada. Who's excited about that? Yeah, that's what we're doing. And I can easily see ourselves surpassing the numbers that we're doing here and rapidly advancing, rapidly growing, and all of you guys are going to be a part of it. It all depends on how much you want to be a part of it. You know, I remember meeting with Emily Robidas back there. That just came, by the way, she just had her beautiful baby girl, Callie, 2 weeks ago, right? With her husband, Damien. Give him a hand. The back-to-back cup champion. I see Dani, Isabelle, I see Emmanuel, a few coaches, and Amélie, of course. But I was sitting down with her, and it was outside of Starbucks. And that's what I do. I go out into the field, I meet with these coaches, and literally it's done one by one by one. That's how we're going to do it. And I remember sitting down with her and talking to her about, you know, this is a big deal. And she goes, I'm just selling challenge packs and building challenge groups. And I said, you do not know what's ahead of you. If I could give you a crystal ball and tell you what I see, you'd be blown away. You would not believe what's about to happen in your life. And wouldn't you say, her life has absolutely changed, you know, in a short, maybe 18 months since we met. And I can go around this room and talk about a lot of the Canadian coaches that I've met with from east to west. And that's what's about to happen. Now, as we get started, I want to recognize literally our pioneers that helped us get started, that believed in us when there was nothing to believe in. Those Canadian coaches that said, yes, I want to end a trend in Canada. Yes, October of 2012, I'm ready to go. Yes, I believe in the mission of Beachbody. I don't know what Beachbody has done here, but I've seen what they've done in the United States. So if you're a coach in Canada, we've had you stand up, but if you're an Emerald coach in Canada, would you please stand? We want to recognize you guys. Emerald coaches, please stand. All right. Very cool. Congratulations. Okay. Let's see if there's any Ruby coaches. I mean, we always bypass Ruby, but you never know. There might be a Ruby or two or not. Okay. Let's see the Diamond coaches. Diamond coaches, please stand. Diamond coaches in Canada. All right. Give them a hand, guys. That's exciting. Oh, my goodness. Very, very cool. Okay. Let's now see the Star Diamond coaches. 1-star Diamond coaches. 1-star Diamond coaches. There's Freddie Jenner. All right. 1-star Diamonds. 2-star Diamonds. All right. Trevor Kucheron. There you go, Emil. Carmen. 3-star Diamond coaches. 3-star Diamond coaches. Okay, let me raise you up to 4-star Diamond coaches. Linda Jenner, get up on your feet. And 5-star Diamond coach backstage. You're going to get to hear from him in a little bit. Okay, so let's dive in, shall we? Let's dive into the nitty-gritty and let's talk about what it means for you guys to have launched or officially launched. Like I said, in October of 2012, when we initially did the pre-launch, what that meant was you can be a U.S. coach that resides in Canada. What that means is essentially we've got a very smart chief legal counsel that basically was not going to wait for another 2-3 years before opening Canada and wanted us to get set, get the challenge groups going, sell the challenge, but get the word out there so that we can get started as we continue registration of all of our products. Okay, so these are some of the advantages that you're going to see. So I'm going to run through them quickly, and then I'm going to introduce our next speakers. Okay, so the first one that you see, you'll have your own shopping cart. So the system will recognize your address the moment that you go into teambeachbody.com. So essentially what that means, you'll be able to purchase in Canadian dollars, and you'll be able to be paid in Canadian dollars. You're not going to have to go through back and forth. And by the way, as a Canadian coach, you can sell challenge packs, run challenge groups to both Canadian and US coaches seamlessly. Okay? So this is not restricted to just Canada. The next thing that's going to be applied, and as we went through these pre-launch, one of the things that we've been working, one of the institutions of government that we've been working with is the Ministry of Health. We've also worked with the Canada Commission Bureau that basically reviews our compensation plan, reviews our company, and make sure that we're bringing the right company. And by the way, I think we're set for the rest of the world because those two are the toughest people to work with. I'm very, very excited that we got past all that. As part of reviewing all these products, one of the things that they do is they have a list of products that they accept in Canada, and then there's some that take a lot longer to accept. So as we launched, we basically went with the ones that they accepted. We did not want to push the launch until they accepted them all. And so what you're going to see in the FAQ about Canada 9970, okay, you'll basically see what products are available, which ones are not available. And let me say this right now. All of our programs are going to be available, and all of our marquee products are also going to be available. So as you're talking to your customers, as you're talking to your coaches, I think that's something important to understand as you're running your challenge groups, okay? French coaches, any French coaches? A few French coaches? All right. Okay, so just so you know, I've actually reviewed several pieces of translated documents. I've reviewed several pieces of translated videos of some of our top training tools that are available. That includes the Coach Basics, that includes some of the videos for Michael Neiman, the compensation plan videos, the What's Beachbody videos. All those videos are going to be translated. And essentially, you're going to get training materials, you're going to get marketing materials, and some of the introduction to Beachbody type videos available to you. On August 28th, you're going to see in your back office, under the Coach Online office, so you got Breaking Coach News here. In the middle, there's going to be a Canada Documents link. Essentially, you're going to click on that. It will take you to a page that will have all those documents. You're going to have PDFs. You're going to have a lot of the guides, by the way, the challenge group guides available. The training guides are going to be available as well. And so you'll be able to use that and also, obviously, start duplicating that throughout your organization. I think that's a nice welcome gift for you guys, right? Obviously, the Team Cup captains and the two-time Team Cup champions have helped out. I think that's fantastic to have that. So that's going to be a big plus there. Okay, so I'm talking about trainings as well. I was talking to a lady coming up here, and she was asking about certification. So certifications are outside of the network, but here's the one thing that I know. The more coaches you have, the more trainings you're going to have available. So the more you grow, the more trainings you're going to be available, the more resources that are going to be available for you, okay? So more trainings are going to be available from a PIO certification, from a P90X certifications. By the way, do we have any Canadian coaches that offer some of those trainings? Can you stand? And let's recognize them, our instructors. Okay, so there's a couple of them. And a few more of them. And US, well, there you go. And so you're going to start seeing more trainings. Also, from a business standpoint, and Daryl Williams, who happens to be here, can attest to that. Back about 7 years ago when we started, coaches would meet at Starbucks, and that would be their training. They would do introduction to Beachbody trainings. There wasn't any social media. There wasn't any of that. And the way they grew is really by meeting face to face. And you're going to hear Pete talk about that. I know Carmen and Emil's group is huge in that, in meeting face to face. So one of the things that we're going to do more of is you're going to see more Beachbody Challenge group trainings available. You're going to see more leadership meetings pop up in your city. You're also going to see more Franklin Covey meetings pop up in your city. And the bottom line is this. As you arrange yourselves in cities and grow together, okay, so if you're in Toronto, I don't care if you're in Toronto or London, if it takes 2 hours, travel 2 hours. This is my counsel. Our resources are going to go where local teams are working together, regardless of the upline. Can I get an amen on that? Yeah. Regardless of your upline, that's how you're going to grow. It's not going to happen individually, you trying to do your own thing and basically saying I'm part of this team and I'm part of this team and I'm not going to do it. It's going to happen as a result of you guys working together. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. That's what Jeff Hill is going to be looking at. That's what we as a company are going to look at as well. By the way, we're completely phasing out of all retail operations by the end of the year. So we've been in retail now for a number of years actually in Canada. And when we started the network, there is no question that by the time that we launched our network, that we would phase out of retail operation. And so this really attests to the trust, to the future that we see in the network in Canada, and to the expected growth that we're going to see from this very group right here from Canada Coaches. So that's what we're doing. Our partner company has already been told, and so it just takes really 6 to 7 months to phase out all of those, and so we're not going to be sending any more products up to Canada to your local Walmart or Canadian Tire or Target. So pretty cool. Less competition for you guys, right? Okay, so the launch update, you guys know about August 28th. So August 28th is when it's going to happen. That's the official date. Now, EFT. Anybody looking to have their money deposited directly versus doing the good old snail mail? Now, how many of you, though, have really enjoyed the snail mail and going to your teller and showing your teller your check and going, what's this that you do? What is this thing that you do, right? It's kind of cool. Well, maybe 10 of you have done it out of 500. So we're going to transition into that. So by August 28th, all that will be set up. So you'll be able to basically give us your information, your bank account information. It'll be sent directly to your bank. I've heard a few of you taking up to a couple weeks to get your checks, and then it holds again for another week or two, and pretty soon it's a month and you haven't seen your check. So that will be hopefully a nice little addition for you guys, right? Let me add a few more that are not on that slide that I'm going to discuss a little bit more in depth at that July 21st webinar. From a business standpoint, one of the things that we said with Canada is that you cannot talk directly about the business opportunity during the pre-launch. And I got a lot of confused looks, and they said, we're open, but I can't talk about it, but you can talk about the Beachbody Challenge, challenge groups, and all that. So from now on, okay, we really are a product-first company at the end of the day, and that's how we build through challenge groups and all that. But once you start growing, and when it opens up officially, what that means is that you can hold opportunity meetings, you can invite people from, in a hotel room conference. You can go to fairs and talk about the opportunity. You can actually start advertising. You obviously need to look at the PMPs. The same PMPs don't apply, but they're very similar. Due to obviously launching, we have to change up some of the PMPs, but they're very similar across the board, US and Canada, okay? So that means you can advertise, essentially, and you can talk about the business, and you can blow up the business. Who wants to blow up their business by next year? Well, there you go. So all that is going to be absolutely available for you guys. Now, there's a lot more detail that I can get into, but one of the things that I wanted to do is to bring up to stage our two speakers and have them talk about, okay, what specifically are you going to do moving forward to accelerate the rate of growth that you've had so far, okay? How do we get to 20,000 coaches and 30,000 coaches? That's not going to be up to us. We've done our work in the background. It's your time to shine. It's your time to step up and raise the bar and make it happen, okay? And dream big, okay? You guys have seen a lot of people walk across stage. It's fun to have seen quite a few of you actually walk across stage. I want you guys to visualize yourselves on stage. I want you guys to see yourself on that stage, not only you, but your team. These guys have done that. These guys have teams right here, both in the US and Canada, that have done that. The first speaker that I'm going to introduce, Pete Pena, he actually was the first top coach in 2008. Pete started with Team Beachbody back in December of 2006. And he racked up a lot of recognition. He's now a superstar diamond coach from Las Vegas, Nevada. He's a Millionaire Club member. Pete has sponsored 29 lifetime diamonds. He's got a great big group in Vernon, BC that are here to cheer him on. Welcome to the stage, Mr. 15 Superstar Diamond, Pete Pena. Awesome. All right, these guys really don't need any introduction. The next guy, a good friend of mine, got to know him, got to know his family, has traveled all across Canada. He seems like to enjoy life on the road. He's actually the first 2013 elite coach from Canada. I know I see a lot of future elite coaches, by the way, in Canada. Linda, Carmen, Emil. He's a Success Club 10 All-Star. He's currently a 5-star diamond, but he tells me he just went 6-star qualifying. He sponsored 8 lifetime diamonds. Look for his personal story, by the way, on the June Super Saturday video, as well as Emily Robidas' Super Saturday story in our actually June Super Saturday video. So please get up on your feet. Welcome these wonderful gentlemen. Miguel Carrasco, come up to the stage.
How's it going, Canada? You can do better. How's it going, Canada? How's it going, USA? That's good. All right. All right. Well, I'm excited to be here today. I'm like super honored to be here with UP. I just got to say that to start off. I'll talk a little more about that later, but and I hope I don't cry because I'm a pretty emotional guy. So we'll get off the boring launch benefits. But who's excited about all that stuff? I'm like so pumped. Like there's so many things on there that are so huge to your business that it's gonna just totally change the game for you guys. Hey Arnold, you forgot to talk about the launch events, but I will do that for Arnold. How about that? I'm pumped about the launch events. So here's a couple things you need to make sure of, okay? And I'm going to talk about this in events a little bit later on as well. Events have completely grown my business, events. And you need to be at all of these events. If you are not registered for at least one of these events, I'm registered for all 3. And you may say, oh, well, you're doing great, you're registered for all 3 now. But let me tell you, I was making $200 a week, and I registered for all 3 events when they happened in Canada, and I got there some way, somehow. So you can make these events. I'd say go to all 3. If you can't make all 3, go to Winnipeg. All right, but why Canada? Why Canada? I mean, there's a lot of stats on the screen, and I'm sure you can read them all. And here's the deal. In Canada, we're pretty fat. We're not in shape people. In the world, we are not in shape people. Things have gotten so bad that literally the government can't fix this problem. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they recently did a study that basically said no country in the world has been able to solve the obesity epidemic that we have. That's pretty sad. And I was a byproduct of that. So let me tell you a little bit of my story. For those who don't know my story started off actually pretty awesome. I was doing great at Microsoft, earning great six-figure income at Microsoft, traveling the world, posting pictures on Facebook of all these cool places I was traveling to, you know, gaining 5 pounds year after year after year. And then one day, I was driving my kids home from daycare, and my left hand started feeling a little numb. And I'm a guy, so I'm like, whatever, I probably banged it on something, I'll be fine. You know, put my kids in the car, and by the time I get home, my whole left hand's like numb to the point where I can't really feel it. And you know when something's not right, right? You know when something's not going on quite right. And you know, I get home, I go and have a shower, we all have dinner and all that kind of stuff, and I'm kind of shampooing my hair, and I'm feeling kind of the scalp on the side of my head here, and I can't feel anything. And I look down, like I'm trying to calm down, so I'm not like totally uncalm, but like basically the left side of my body's totally numb. And I tell my wife, hey, I'm gonna go lie down. And she's like, well, why? Because I never lie down, by the way, I'm always doing something. And I said, well, basically I can't feel the whole left side of my body, but I'm sure I'll be fine if I just nap it off. She's like, you need to get to the hospital right now. And I lost that argument about no in about 5 seconds, and I got in the car with a dead cell phone, and I got to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, for all of you that are in Canada, I thought I was going to wait for like 25 hours. I mean, I walk in, there's a guy holding his thumb, and there's, you know, someone else with a leg broken, and I'm like, oh, they're just going to laugh it off. So I sit down, they check me over. Fast forward the story real quick. They rush me in, my blood pressure is like 190 over 140. They think I'm having a stroke. I'm going to text my wife, my phone's dead, and I look up in the ceiling, and I'll never forget that moment, because this is my why. This is the moment that changed everything for me. I wasn't a Beachbody coach. I didn't know about Beachbody yet, but I looked up and I thought, why me? You know, I just got baptized a year ago. Things are supposed to get better. You know, why me? Why is this happening to me? I've been a good person. I'm thinking back, and then I start thinking like, okay, what happens if this is it? Who's going to pay the mortgage, right? Who's going to raise my kids? I even thought silly things like, well, what if my wife marries someone a lot hotter than me? Like, is she going to, what happens in heaven then? Who does she pick? So all these things, and I'll never forget. I looked up that, and I'm like, wow, maybe this is it. And every minute that I don't feel like working out, even when Beachbody business has exploded and I've gotten busy and gained a few pounds on the cruise, having way too much fun, I always think back and I reset, and I get up from failure, right? You saw I was scared to post those pictures, by the way. You saw them in the Pio video, because I gained weight, you know, growing the business. It was true. And I went on the cruise, and I had a great time with one of my coaches and stuff, and I gained about like 20 pounds that I had already lost. And Chalene Johnson, again, somehow I got picked for her video that ended up saving my life, and I lost a lot of weight. So, you know, in Canada we have this huge problem, and I'd love to go into it in more detail with you guys, but long story short, I tried everything to lose weight. By some fluke at 11 o'clock at night, I saw a P90X commercial, bought P90X, bought TurboFire, tried P90X for 3 days and totally quit because it was way too hard. And I did TurboFire, and TurboFire changed my life. I've never met Chalene Johnson until actually a couple days ago, which was awesome. And the highlight of the whole thing to me was like seeing that. I didn't even know I was going to be in the Pio video, by the way. And seeing her walk out, like I was bawling my eyes out, by the way. So Beachbody saved my life. And I had to see it from an infomercial. And all of you in here, like Carl said, can completely change someone's life. Who cares if it's one challenge pack you sell in 3 years? Really? What if you get in the best shape of your life and you only sell one challenge pack? What will that do for people? And here's the thing. There's ways to build this business. So I had a story. This is why I'm telling you this story. I had a story. There's 2 different ways to build this business. And Pete has a very different way to build the business than I do. And it works extremely well. I'm actually really excited to hear this story from Pete because I don't know how to build the way Pete builds. So I'm going to let Pete kind of share a little bit with you.
Awesome. Thanks, Miguel. Before I begin, men, please stand up. Just the men, please stand up. Awesome, awesome. I want to give you guys a round of applause because if you were at general session, how many girls were on stage compared to the men? I need you guys to be on stage with me next year, so give yourself a round of applause. Thank you. I want to share a strategy that when I first started, I wanted to build, and I wanted to build fast. But I wasn't good on the internet. You know what? I was just hungry. I wanted to leave my job. I was in education for 20 years, or 19 and a half years, when I was introduced to Beachbody. I wanted to figure out a way to get momentum going. And the way I did that was through home parties. And if you look at the screen, when I started doing some research on Canada, I started thinking, wow, this falls right into where I want to build. And I'm so fortunate enough to have some really good leaders, that are in Canada, and they've afforded me the opportunity to be up here. And the reason why I say home parties is because we talk about events. Events are a way to build your business. And I started just like you. Our first event, there was 300 people at our first summit. Imagine that, 300 people. And look where we're at right now. So think about you having an event every single week through a home party. You get 4, 5, 6 people there. You talk about that opportunity, challenge groups, selling some challenge packs. Then what happens? You start creating momentum. What happens? You sign 3 or 4 people. You start booking the next event. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit. So I felt very comfortable with doing home parties. We started growing. We started doing our home parties every Saturday. I was doing 3 home parties every weekend. I was doing one at 10, 12, and 2. I was driving all over the city. The next week, I would do the same thing. But what was going on? There were other people doing home parties also. So literally, in 6 months, from April 7th when we first started to December 28th, and I remember like it was yesterday, we put in 2,200 coaches. We had a tremendous opportunity to meet a lot of great people. But you know what was great? Those relationships that we built with our new friends, is they were doing those home parties on their own. I didn't have to go do those home parties. And one of the things that I really believe in is creating that relationship through home parties. What better way for you to get to know somebody's dreams, where they want to be in life, and now you can determine who you want to work with. So I'm really excited about the opportunity in Canada, because if you look at those statistics, 47% of people this is taken from the DSA. These are different companies that are in Canada. So people are used to doing that. They're doing home parties. They're doing face-to-face. I like working face-to-face with people. Social media, I wish I was better at. But I know where my strength is, so that's what I focus on. And I teach that. But again, many of you, you have a great opportunity because you're getting the best of both worlds right now. So when you talk about 1% in social media, I look at it, with this slide, I look at it 2 different ways. I look at it as a strong suit for myself. And then for those of you that are building online, if you look at it, it says only 1% of people doing social media in Canada. That is a tremendous opportunity for you. And what better way to do that than what Miguel is doing? He's going to talk a little bit about that. Go ahead, Miguel.
So let's talk social media a little bit. So I love talking about social media. My background was actually in social media. I worked in digital marketing for almost 10 to 15 years, so I learned a lot about social media, but that was like to promote computers and hardware and boring stuff. So when I realized, wait a minute, I can actually use this to help people, I thought, wow, this is awesome. And there's a lot of different ways. I mean, I could go into hours into social media, but I'll tell you this. Social media isn't going to solve any of your problems. Social media isn't going to explode your business. If you buy a $10,000 social media marketing course, it's not going to do any good for you. What is going to do good is becoming really strong in who you are. All the personal development that you're learning over the last few days here is what's going to help. What social media is going to do, and I'm going to give you a couple tips, is going to take what you already have and amplify and magnify and make it beautiful. Right? So if you don't have all those core assets, those core values of who you are and what you want to share with people, then social media is going to share things that you don't want to share. I always say, like, if you're an Eeyore, like, oh man, today sucks, and man, Beachbody forgot to update the FAQ, and 21-day fix, so I can't sell it anymore. And oh yeah, no, I'm like freaking, I'm not Eeyore, right? Why would you be that? I'm Tigger. I'm like, hey guys, how's it going? Right? Because that inspires people. That makes people want to do things with their life. I don't care if anyone buys or sells anything. Someone wants to buy a base kit, I'm like, perfect, here you go. Success Club points, I don't care. We got Team Beachbody Cup number 4. That was awesome. And some of those girls were sitting in the front row. And the personal struggles they went through, two of them one going through separation, one losing their house. You don't know those stories. You just see number 4, and that doesn't matter. What matters is their personal struggles and what they went through. And some of them blew it up, and some of them struggled to hit 35 points, which was our goal. That doesn't matter. So if you don't have those core values set up right, social media is just going to amplify a bunch of garbage, to be honest. And what's the point of that? That's not the mission of Beachbody. So I'm going to give you some tips on social media. And here's what I did. Right? The first thing I did is I went on Facebook, and by the way, when I started, I had like 300 friends, all of them into computers, and not one has ever bought a challenge pack. Right? So other than one, and he still complains to this day. So I basically started with one friend that was the customer. The way I built it was just, instead of being excited about the other stuff, I split up my day into 5 different things that I was going to post about. Right? I was going to post about family, my core values, my wife, my kids. I was going to post about fitness. Right? I was going to post about good moral values, things that matter to me. Because I want to attract, I don't care if that means I only attract 50 people in Canada. I know that those 50 are people that are just like me. The test I always do is, I tell people, I'm sorry, you should sign up with a different coach all the time. Why would I do that? Because the test for me is, do I trust this person in my house with my 3 kids sleeping upstairs to come over, and if I have to run out and grab some milk and something, am I going to be comfortable with them in my house? Right? So your social media has to be that avenue of like inspiration and motivation to really get people going. So my Facebook, a couple tips, right? My banners explain exactly who I am when you go there. My profile picture shows me wearing a PNEX shirt. And I add descriptions to those things. When you click the banner, there's a description of my story, with a link to my blog, with a link to a YouTube video, with a big write-up. My profile, the same thing. If you click on the profile picture, it tells you more about me and who I am, right? Instead of putting I work at Beachbody, I put I work at Smartass Fitness. I can say ass because that's my team name. It's awesome. So it says that on my profile, right? And so I link those things together. So a lot of people, they link their stuff to Beachbody. They have a banner picture that means nothing, or like challenge pack sales. What do you do with flyers that you get in the mail? What do you do? First of all, you probably have a no flyer sign, right? They go in the garbage. So why you become a Beachbody coach and you're like, sweet, I'm going to become the advertising guy. Blows my mind. That's not what you need to do. Beachbody does all that for you. You need to differentiate yourself. The next thing I did is I built a Facebook page, right? And it started slow. It started really slow. I didn't buy 10,000 fans, for $5. I started it really, really slow. After about 3 months of posting stuff, I pretty much had my wife and maybe my mom like a few posts. It started slow, right? People look at it now, they're like, wow, 30,000 fans. How many of those are real? Well, you can go in and look at it, and you see most of them are from Winnipeg. That's how the Winnipeg Autumn Calabrese event has so many people signed up to it already, right? And so my social media is all about me and inspiring other people and changing lives. That's what Beachbody is all about. The next thing I did is YouTube, right? Because I started getting a lot of people saying, hey, Miguel, can you help me? My upline sucks, blah, blah. Or, oh my God, if I was on your team, I'd do better, right? All that stuff. And I was like, okay, well, let me help people, right? So today I'm going to launch a new website. By the way, you can go check it out. You can go to coachanswers.com. And it's all my YouTube videos, all on there for free. Pretty much everything I train my team on, you can go and download it. You can watch it, right? So, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, your upline doesn't matter. Like, one of the assignments I tell all my coaches to do is go on YouTube and find people that inspire you, that are coaches, and watch all their videos. That will train you, right? You can figure it out. It doesn't matter who you are. I honestly get about 100 coaches a day asking to switch teams. It's crazy, right? Switching teams isn't going to do anything for you. What you need to do is focus on yourself. Use social media to amplify the goodness in you that you have in there that maybe has been beaten down for years, and make you your own little hero, right? And that's cool, and that's fun. And that's what attracts people into your life that you would love to come over to watch your kids. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Pete, and he's going to talk to you a little bit more detail about home parties and how they work.
So, how do you get somebody to your house? How do you say, hey, I'm having a home party. How do you get somebody there? I want you to think about something. When we started, we had no Shakeology. We didn't have the tremendous tools that we have right now. We had the family packs, or there were 50 PV. Imagine that. We had to get people to your house and promote that. How much easier it is now to do Shakeology. You got all the new programs. I mean, it's just, our branding is so much better. I mean, it's just awesome. So think about where you're at right now. So how do you get people to your house? Now, you can do it the old-fashioned way. Hey, come to my house. We're gonna have a party, and you know what are you gonna talk about? You know what? Just be there, and then you slam them with Beachbody. That's not gonna work. Why? Because people have been burnt like that in the industry with other companies. So be honest with them. Talk about Beachbody. You know what? I'm gonna have a Beachbody home party at my house. You know what? I'm open for business. I'm so excited about what I've done. You know what? I just left Summit. You know what? I want you in my house, and I want to share some things with you. And you tell people that, and most people know our brand already, so they're going to come. You talk about P90X. You talk about PIO, whatever programs to get people to your house. Once you do that, now what do? You get them there. The first thing you do is you got to have a story. Every single one of you right now have a story. Your story is about coming to Summit, who you met, what you've done, weight loss, transformation, whatever the case may be. Your story is your journey, and that's what's most important to you. So when you get people to your house, you're talking from your heart, you're talking from integrity, because number one, you love the product because you're taking it. How many drink Shakeology every single day? That's your story. You drink it. It makes you feel great.
Twice a day. So good.
Awesome. So, you know, that is your story. You're not just selling something that you don't take. So that's how you get them there, and you share your story. When we started this, we didn't even have presentations. I just went up there and I talked about myself. I talked about my story. I talked about why not me. You know, I had been in two other companies when I was younger. One when I was 18 and one when I was 35. I did each one for 2 weeks and quit. I said, man, I can't make no money. I'll never do that ever again. What made Beachbody so different? I weighed 210 pounds at that time. 210 pounds, imagine that, 5'4", didn't look good. I'm telling you. I kidded my wife, I could have played the penguin in Batman at that time. So I ended up losing weight. People started asking me, what did I do? I started sharing the opportunity. So those are things that you do to get people to your house. And when they're there, they can relate to that. Miguel just talked about it. You know, if somebody would have been there and they would have shared, you know, how to lose weight, how to get healthy, so that you can be there for the long term for your family, that is what we're all about. Then you let the video, Beachbody video, do the work for you. You know, sometimes people say, well, I'm too shy. I can't be in front of people. Plug in that video, the opportunity video that Beachbody produces for you. Once they finish that, you ask them those questions. Hey, what's the best thing you liked about that video? You know, Eric Worre has a really good, comeback on that. After they watch videos, what questions to ask. So for many of you that haven't read that book, that might be something you want to read. But again, it's about you asking the right types of questions, because that person might want to come in for the business, or they might want to just come in for the product. But by you asking those questions, you determine where you want to take that conversation. Then finally, what you're doing is you're always booking to the next event. Always, because you know, every time that we signed up coaches, and back then, I mean, I can honestly tell you, we would get 10 people at an event, and we signed up 9 of them. That number 10, he was signed up because he was peer pressured by everybody else. So what did we do? We used what we call a takeaway. We would say, hey, if you sign up today, I'm going to put you in front of her, and if you wait, then you're going to be the last one in line. Everybody's like, oh, I want to come in first. We created diamonds right away in one day.
That's a great idea.
So if you're creating that, you're able to look at some things like that. So, again, know your audience. Know which way to take it. Because even when they come in for the product, eventually they're going to come into the opportunity. Because they're going to get emails. They're going to see you talking about it. They're going to be excited. And if you're still in the game 6 months from now, they're going to say, hey, how's that Beachbody thing going? Oh, you know what? Come to my house. Let me show you. Because you know what? People like success. If you're successful, they're going to come to you. If you're just coming here just to feel it out, and this is a, this is something that you're playing with, you know what? Then it's a hobby. Make this your career to, if you choose to, and some of you are doing this part-time, that's great, but if you choose to, do it with the best intentions. Do it at 100%. Run with it. If you want to be on that stage and you want to be recognized, I'm telling you, you have to put the work in. It doesn't come easy. Not anybody on that stage, you can see right now, they're up there and they're emotional. Why? Because they put all their hearts and souls into Beachbody. And if you're here, that means you're going to do the same thing. So again, 2 different strategies, same results. But all I always said is, we were so excited about going to Canada that, again, what are you doing differently, or can you do the same things? It doesn't matter where you go, anywhere in the world. If you are a master, you have those skills, you can go anywhere and grow an organization. So.
That was some good stuff. I was like taking notes. I lost my train of thought. Yeah. So with that, let's talk a little bit about how we can use social media to get those face-to-faces. Because I totally agree with Pete. He's a master of the face-to-face, and face-to-face is incredibly important because that's the only way you can connect with people. So let me tell you exactly, real quick, how I use social media to leverage that. I create all of my events in a tool called Eventbrite. I've tried them all over the years, trust me. Eventbrite's one of the best ones if you leverage social media, if you want to leverage social media. Because it connects all the people when they register, and it tells their friends when they've registered for your event. So let's say, my friend Mike here, Gorson, who just became a diamond this week, signs up for an event, right? And he registers online to go to that event, right? Now let's say his friend Aaron looks at his feed and sees, oh, Mike's going to this event too. Right? So she's going to go register for that event. Or let's say, one of his friends that hasn't even seen his feed finds out about the event and sees the event and clicks on it and then goes to register. They're going to see, oh, Mike signed up for that event. Oh, I haven't talked to Mike in 2 years. I'm going to reach out to him and ask him why he's going, and then I'm going to register as well. So Eventbrite is a huge tool I've used to grow the business. I mean, in a small little town of Winnipeg, we've been able to have events 100 plus. We had 200 plus last September. To an event. All of our Super Saturdays have over 100. And it's a big reason why is because we leverage tools like social media, Facebook. We leverage Eventbrite. They do all the payment processing for you. It's really, really easy to do. And it works extremely well. And me and Peter are going to talk a little bit more about events later on, but you need to start looking at this stuff. If it's not Eventbrite, if you don't want to use that, there are a million other tools. But you need to set up these events because they take a life of their own. And there's no better way that I know to grow your business than face-to-face. So with that, let me just give it a little bit back to Pete to talk a little bit more about that. Maybe we'll talk back and forth on this slide.
The first trip that I took, we went to Vancouver. Was it Vancouver? Calgary. Wow. Calgary. And I met my 3 superstars right there, Emil, Marlene, and Carmen. And we sat down after the event, and we circled, and we just started talking about why Beachbody, why you should be doing this. Because I know where we're going and where we're heading. Imagining you opening up your own country. That is amazing. And for those of you that are here for the very first time, you're an Emerald or just a coach, and you're seeing, what am I going to be able to do to participate in that mammoth explosion that in Canada? Well, here's your opportunity because you're here. You're learning different ways of building your organization, but what better ways to get to know people, relationships. You get to rub with shoulders with leaders and just making sure that they're doing things correctly. Because you know what? Life happens all the time. There's a book that, I had a mentor who talked to me about peaks and valleys. This is a book that I read. It's a real short read. Peaks and valleys. You go through life. You go through your business opportunity. You go through peaks and valleys. You go through relationships. You go through your weight loss, peaks and valleys. And if you're able to always hit a peak, you know what? That keeps you engaged. That keeps you motivated to continue. So when you're going to these events, this is some of you, this is the first time that you're here. You're excited because you're seeing things. You're exercising with trainers. I mean, it is just a mind-boggling opportunity for you. So a veteran like myself, this is 8 years. I'm still as excited as I was the very first day. Why? Because I see a brand new coach coming in, eyes wide open. You know what? I can sit here and say, if you want what we have, you can do it. You can out-earn anybody that brought you in here. So, again, Miguel, go ahead.
No, go ahead. One thing I wanted to add just to Pete there, maybe I'll talk a little bit about this, is, like, Pete doesn't know this, but he totally changed my life. And it was that event in Calgary. And so here's a funny story, Pete, I gotta tell you this, like, I really look up to you, and this isn't, like, scripted or anything, this is true. Like, when I went to Calgary, I went to this diamond dinner, which I had no idea what it was, by the way. I still don't really know what a diamond was. I just signed up for the event and went. And so we were sitting there at this table. I think Casey was there, Marla was there, Rosario was there, and I think Pete was there and Barbie was there, and they just seemed really cool people. I just saw them sit down. I didn't know who they were. I didn't ask them for their picture, nothing. I'm just like, oh, cool, seemed nice, and having a glass of wine and whatever. And the next day I hear this story when he goes on stage of how he's like a multi-million-dollar earner guy with like this crazy watch, and like I'm like, what? I'm like, is this for real? I'm making $200 a week. What is he doing that I'm not doing? And that was just that little bit of belief, right? That little bit of belief. And that's what this, any of you have a book with you right now? Look at that book. Look at one page of the book. Here's what happens with people's minds, okay? When I tell someone, let's say someone moves in next door to me. Okay, this new guy named Mike moves in next door, and he comes over to my house, and he says, hi, I'm Mike. My grandma just baked me these brand new muffins. I just wanted to share them with you. I want to introduce you. Do you think Mike is an angel yet? Would you let him watch your kids yet? No. Let's say the next day, goes by and Mike comes over again, or maybe a friend of Mike's comes over that he's made now that somehow knows you, and he goes, hey, have you met Mike yet? Oh, yeah, Mike, he's an awesome guy, like whatever. We go to Bible school together, we do all these things together. Another page is written in the book. Then the next day you go to a community event. You see Mike there again, he's helping out. Sooner or later, a 100-page book is full of great things about Mike. Mike's an awesome guy. Mike's a great guy. If that keeps going, Mike's going to be a saint to you. That's what you have to do with your coaches. Their belief is like this big when they sign up. Probably like down here. And they're like, I hope I get my $40 back. Right? And then they buy a challenge pack that's like, I better get my money back. My wife or that husband's going to kill me. Right? So getting people to these events is where that belief can explode. Getting someone to, who has been at Coach Summit for the first time here? This is your first Coach Summit. How many of you's belief has gone from like here to here? Right? So you need to get to all these events. If you want your teams going to all 3 events, then go to all 3 events. That's what's going to build your business. That's the value in these live events.
Absolutely. I'll be in Canada next week for Super Saturday. Again, it's called support. You support your people anywhere because how can you tell people to attend events if you don't attend? That was a great point, Miguel. And what we try to do is everything that we do, my wife is very instrumental. I do all the upfront stuff and she does all the back end stuff. And, sometimes she doesn't get credit, but without her, I wouldn't be able to be up here. So for those of you who are married and maybe your spouse doesn't support you, or they're like, man, you're doing that, or you need to at least have that person understand that this is something that you really, really want to do. So if your husband or wife is here and they're supporting you, that is tremendous, because when you have 2 people doing this business, it's going to help you, tremendously. Because what happens is that when your teams grow really fast, you're going to need help. Honestly, you're going to need leaders. You're going to need people in your organization that can take it away from you. Remember how I talked about we're doing parties all the time? If I had to do a party every single week, 3 times a week, how long would I last? I would be burnt out by now, right? So what you have to do is train, develop, mentor, and that's why it's so important to go to these events so that you can have your one-on-one time. Real quick, I'm doing an event in Boston with my team at the end of July. We're going there, we're going to do a workout, we're going to do all that. But why do I go there? Because I want to meet their leaders one-on-one. Creating that excitement for them to see, hey, you know what? I want to move this forward. So again, it's so important to build through events. And again, it creates excitement and it creates momentum. I know we're running.
Awesome, Pete.
Sure.
No, that was awesome. No, we're good. I'll close it up real quick. I mean, you can read all that stuff. You know, how many of you can tell I'm pretty excited about Beachbody? Like, I love it. How excited are you about Beachbody? I mean, Beachbody is like a little baby right now. I always say that to me. People sometimes say, well, the opportunity's gone, whatever, all the No. Canada, pretty soon, is going to be 100,000 coaches. We're like at maybe 10,000 right now. That's crazy. That should blow your mind. Because a lot of you have the opportunity to do what I've done 10 times faster. See, when I started, I didn't know anything about this stuff. Arnold was saying, oh, 2 weeks? Arnold, that didn't happen when we started. So, we were waiting a while. Things weren't working. Things are getting better and better. Just like Carl said, fail and then we succeed, and fail and we succeed, and we fail and we succeed. Things haven't even started yet with Beachbody. For how many of you think this was hard to come to Coach Summit? How much it was hard? Like, you used your credit card, thought it was hard, all that kind of stuff. I want to give you a little bit of a perspective just before we finish off, okay? And some of you might have heard this on my team because I say it a lot. And I want to tell you a little story about a guy named Nelson Mandela. Okay, here's a guy that finds a vision. He finds a why. He finds a reason for existing. He wants to end apartheid in South Africa. He believes in it so much that his friends and his family are imprisoned. He goes to jail. Not just for 5 years, not just for 6 months in medium, whatever, security, not just an ankle bracelet. One of the hardest jails ever. And he goes to jail for 29 years. His friends, his family, gone. He leaves prison 29 years later, alive, which is a miracle in itself. Most people would have killed themselves. And he comes out not just a normal person functioning and getting a job, but he comes out to become the president of the country that put him there in the first place. That's freaking hard to do. You going up to someone saying, hey, you want to buy a challenge pack that's $140 that already has an $800 iPhone? Is freaking easy to do. We can blow this country up. It's all up to you to do it. I want this year to be the biggest year you've ever had. I want this year for you to be the biggest explosion of all time in Canada. And I can't do it, but you can do it. Thanks a lot, guys.